meeting to order. A couple quick comments.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Before we get going,
Tell me what happened.
I just want to mention a couple things. One, please try to keep your phone or computer on mute unless you're going to be speaking. And secondly, if you would be kind enough, particularly for Bernadette's sake, to note who you are, so she's reasonably sure of who is speaking. So, with that in mind, next order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. We would stand. I've got that in front of me. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic
for which it stands. One nation. Under God. Indivisible.
With liberty and justice for all. All right.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Is everybody here? I heard Patrick's voice. Is Joel on the line?
Joel is on the line. Yep.
Okay. Tony, are you there? Okay. Tony, you're here, right?
Yes.
Yep. Tony Neal, Bill Phelan, Tom Sullivan, and you. And then you've got Wes Ilbrick has joined us, a candidate for the 85th, and I don't know who the latest caller is.
What was that last comment, Bob?
Yes?
Bob, who's joined us?
Weston Ilbrick, who is running for the 85th state rep district.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm just here to learn more about the great work you guys do as a utility, and the recent phosphorus project is of particular interest.
Okay, sir, I'm sorry. Your name again?
Weston
Ulbrick.
Weston. Ulbrick is ULB as in boy, RICH.
Okay. All right. Moving on, next order of business is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve same?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second by Joel Reinbold.
Okay, all those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, stands voted unanimously. We'll move on. Since there were no items removed, we will move on to item number 4, which is approval of the director's report. Is there a motion to approve same?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second by Joel.
Okay. Okay. Are there any particular questions, gentlemen, or anybody with respect to the director's report as it was presented herein?
I don't, Mr. Chairman, this is Joel. I'd like to compliment Rick on the report. There were a number of topics that I was able to have a good discussion with him, including some of the load following purchases versus the block purchases, the net energy pricing position, where and how we're looking to move into Pierce. We did indeed talk a little bit about the transmission tariff, for the regional network services. So it was a good report, and it offered some insight into some of these topics that we'll be dealing with, within the next months to year or so.
Fair enough.
Good job, Rick.
Thank you, Joel. Everybody, I'd like to just give a quick verbal update. At the very beginning of the report, I make what have become recently the repetitive comments about the work practices that all 3 divisions have taken on because of COVID-19. At the time I wrote this, the town had not yet reopened. Subsequent to this, we have, and I can report as we sit here right now that both office buildings, the WED building and the water sewer building, are open to customers now, largely similarly to how they were before. We've adopted a consistent signage of the same as town hall. and customers are being led in a responsible way, you know, face coverings, proper distancing, etc.
Okay. Comment I'd like to make, and this is specifically with regard to water. Neil, certainly very glad to see that we're beginning to get some new operators out at the water treatment plant. It's taken some time, I realize, to do that, but I know we've got one on board, another one about to be on board, and a third coming in next month. It'll be nice to be able to get back at the staff, and we may be able to start running in, you know, this second shift again in a not too far distant future, I would expect. I don't know.
No.
So
Bob, can you repeat the first part of your comment? Tony dismissed me and I had to call back in.
okay. No, I was saying that it's nice to see that you've been able to get a number of operators hired out at the water treatment plant. You've got, I guess, one on board now, one about to be, and one will be coming next month. So I know we're still down people, but this would sound to me like a very big help to you.
That is correct, although we are not in a position to move back into a second shift again.
Okay. All right. Are there any other comments with regard to the director's report?
Just, I wanted to echo, Bob, your comment about the treatment, the water facility, the treatment plant. And Neil, just as a follow-up, when do you believe that that you might be in a position to go back to a second shift up there?
So we have 8 water treatment operators at the plant. Right now, we have 2 senior operators and 4 junior operators. So the 3 people that we brought on are junior operators. So the senior operators can make water quality and quantity decisions and operate the plant. The junior operators cannot. So it is really a function of promoting these junior operators. Once they meet their state certification, then we can have a second shift. We have repeatedly gone out for senior operators. Most senior operators are well established in their water company, so they're not looking to move unless they retire from a water company. So in lengthy discussions with specifically Thomas Esposito, the Assistant Superintendent for Water Supply and Treatment, we wanted to look at staffing. We brought on more junior operators, and we're basically having to train for the future.
Okay.
Hello?
Thank you.
Bob, it sounds like someone's trying to join the meeting.
Somebody was saying hello. I don't know who that is. Would you identify yourself, please? Hello? Well.
Hello?
Yes. Who is that, please?
My name is Stanley.
Okay.
Sir, this is a public meeting that's underway. Did you dial us by mistake, perhaps?
You know, guys, it might be a bot just breaking in. Some of these meetings have these. So I don't know if someone can kick them out or not politely ask them to leave, then kick them out. Because it might be a robot computer virus type thing. Just putting that out there.
All right. Well, I don't know, Tony, if you can do if you want to do anything with that or not, but I will ask for a vote on the director's report. All those in favor of approving the director's report signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Stands voted unanimously. Next order of business, we will move on to item number 5 under water sewer. This is the resolution for, I believe the name is Maginot. Is there a motion
Her
to?
actual name is pronounced McNault.
McNault, okay,
Audrey McNault.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is Patrick Burnett. I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second by Joel.
Okay, any additional comments that, Water or Sewer would like to make with regard to, Ms. Maginal?
So this is Neil Amwick, General Manager for the Wallingford Water and Sewer Divisions. Audrey has been with us for 21 years. She certainly will be missed. You know, I think we captured it best in one of the last lines is, you know, her calm composure under all conditions, and she has a very keen, dry sense of humor, which we appreciated. So she will be missed, and we wish her all the best.
Great.
Hello?
Okay, if there's nothing else with regard to that, I will ask on approving the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, stands voting unanimously. Okay, next order of business, we will move on. This is a billing issue that we have in the Water Sewer Division. Neil or Bill, whichever, would like to take that. Just
I think that based on the memo that I've provided to Neil Amwick, this is a situation that we found a toilet leaking in a particular residence after an inspection. It was identified, it was corrected. They have since received a subsequent bill. I believe I provided a consumption and billing history with the memo. Her bills are back down to normal levels. Unfortunately, I informed the customer that we were unable to make an adjustment on their bill because the water had gone through the meter.
What is?
And
Right.
therefore, she requested a further review by the Public Utility Commission.
Tony, can you do anything about this?
I just dismissed him
Interrupted caller.
again. That's the second time he's called in. I just dismissed him again.
Okay, thanks. You don't suppose it's the people associated with this
No,
thing we're talking about now, do you?
no, it's not. No, I
No.
believe Mrs. Marin has called in. Ma'am, do you have any additional comments that you would like to make with over and above that which you already provided to the Water Division? Mrs. Marin? Hello? All right. We do have a letter from Mrs. Marin, and which I believe you gentlemen realize. Now, is there a motion that anybody would like to make with respect to this?
Mr. Chairman, this is Patrick Burney. I do have a motion. I'm going to essentially read what I would view as a resolution that was prepared by Mr. Amwick and circulated earlier today. So I'll read this into the record as a motion. I make a motion that Mr. and Mrs. Marin's account number 53139, be permitted to enter into a payment plan with the Water and Sewer Divisions concerning their March 1st, 2020 water and sewer bill of $495.52. Further move that the payment plan shall be a minimum monthly payment of $85 with no interest for 6 months for the balance of March 1st, 2020 bill amount, provided that the full amount of $495.52 is paid by January 31st, 2021, and that the Marins remain current with future water and sewer bills. I further move that Mr. and Mrs. Marin shall contact the Water Sewer Department Division Business Office within 7 business days of receipt of this approved motion to enter into the payment plan. I further move that failure by the Marins to arrange for a payment plan within 1 week or to remain current on their future water and sewer bills, as well as the above described monthly payments, will void this motion, and at such time interest will begin to accrue on any outstanding balance. As Mr. and Mrs. Marin may be seconded.
I'm sorry, folks, this meeting.
You know, this happened to us at the Republican Town Committee meeting, and we switched to Zoom instead of go to meeting.
Weston, this is the first time in the meetings that we've had any sort of issues, just as an FYI. But in any event, is there a second to Mr. Bernie's motion to get it on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, this is Joel. I'll second the motion to get this on the floor for discussion.
Okay. I think the idea of trying to spread it out for them, given the issues that were brought up in the letter that from the Marins, I think it's certainly a worthwhile thing to do. My thought had been possibly spread it out over the period of 12 months, which would have been 4250.
Good night.
Thank you, Tony. I'm not sure how much, but I had thought of spreading out over the period of a year.
Oh, your granddaddy ever grab your balls?
Oh, my God.
Was that Mrs. Marin who was trying to speak a moment
Yeah, I
ago?
don't want no faggot to suck my dick. I don't want no faggots to.
Mr. Bernie,
See you ass.
an amendment to
Let me
your,
lick your ass.
make this.
Of course, Mr. Chair.
By 7/31 of 2021. If you would do so, I'll make that amendment.
As amended.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second, I second the motion, and if need be, I'll second the amendment. I support the amendment to extend this for the 12 months, the payment plan for 12 months, as you've stated, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the
Yeah.
water or sewer
Just-
on that?
I just have two comments. First off, just as always, applaud the division for spotting and immediately notifying the Marins on the issue, the ability to get a technician out there as soon as possible and spotting the issue. Again, great work. I know there a lot of busy people doing a lot of work here, and I appreciate that. I also just want to take this note to thank Neil for outlining a proposed resolution. In a lot of ways, it permits us an ability to sort of not on the fly draft something, and it allows us to tweak something that has been already had some thought put into it. So I note a couple of resolutions that have been circulated this evening by Mr. Amwake, and I appreciate it. And I think my view would be, to the extent that we've got complex issues that we need to address, if there's an ability for water, sewer, or electric to propose those resolutions in a written format prior to the meeting, just makes the meeting smoother and allows some thought on the actual motion that is being contemplated. So thank you.
No, Patrick, a very good point. Thank you. If there is there any further discussion on either the amendment or on the motion? If there's none on the amendment, I will call for a vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment to Mr. Bernie's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That stands voted unanimously. Is there any further discussion on the motion itself? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That would be unanimous on that. And with that in mind, we will move on then to item number 8, which is discussion of the proposed revisions, item number 7, which is the approval and adoption of water and sewer. Getting ahead of myself. Okay. Before us in our packet, we of course had the public hearing a week ago, and then we have a complete delineation of all of the additional charges, the miscellaneous charges with respect to water and the full range of sewer charges in the packet. Neil, if you'd like to go into, make any comments with regard to same, as a quick comment to you, and I know it was mentioned at the hearing last week, but I also want it on the record here. Certainly appreciate the excellent presentation that you did at the public hearing. There wasn't public there to see it, but certainly do appreciate it. It was an excellent job, and thank you. You need to unmute. Neil, we cannot hear you.
Hello? Hello? Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I was caller 17. So thank you, Bob, for that. I do want to recognize Bill Phelan and the staff of the business office, as well as the leadership of the water and sewer divisions who really worked with me to put that together. Since the public hearing last Thursday evening, the water and sewer divisions have not received any public comments regarding the proposed rates. So at this time, I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Gentlemen, any comments that either of you would like to make at this point, or?
Mr. Chairman, Patrick Burney, I'm prepared to make a motion,
Okay.
and then we'll make my comments when you ask for discussion.
Very fine, sir. If you would, please do so.
Mr. Chairman, I move that this Board of Public Utilities Commissioners approve and adopt the water and sewer charges as proposed in the draft proposal, and it is also contained in the legal notice of the public hearing for all water and sewer invoices rendered on and after October 1st, 2020.
Okay, is there a second to Mr. Burney's motion?
Second by Joel.
Okay. Patrick, you said you had some comments you were going to make once you made the motion. If you would, please.
Yeah, first off, Neil, it's been a long process, and I just want to thank you, Bill, and the rest of your team for the process in getting us or culminating with the motion that's currently on the floor. I know it was time consuming, but as I read through the PowerPoint presentation, that the several workshops and the PowerPoint presentation in the public hearing last week, I realized that the process was a thoughtful one, allowing some flexibility and future growth, and including CapEx spending, which we're going to need over the next 4 years. I also just wanted to note that to echo and incorporate into this record the comments that the mayor stated on the record at last Thursday's hearing in terms of what got us to today, unfortunately. And with that, I will support the motion when it comes to a vote.
Okay. Joel, any comments you might have with regard to it, sir?
Yeah, I would also echo the comments both by Commissioner Burney and by the mayor. These changes that we are now faced with are the result of the Federal Clean Water Act and the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System discharge limits for pollutants. The facility we now have is unable to make or unable to comply with those standards. And furthermore, the plant is, as Neil has pointed out, at the end of its useful life. It needs to be rebuilt, repaired. That said, I've got confidence with staff and through the numerous reviews, engineering assessments, technical assessments, that all efforts have been thoughtfully made to reduce capital costs and increase the effectiveness of the plant using whatever existing components can be. So I would echo all these comments. I compliment staff. You've done the best you can under a challenging situation that's been handed to us by the federal requirements. And I too will support the motion by Mr. Burney.
Bob Beaumont here. I hate to say me too, but me too. Certainly appreciate what Neil, what you, Bill, and your staff have done in terms of working through this. Whether it's with respect to the flexibility that has been built into the operation of the plant with the idea of being able to, as much as possible, to reduce operational costs in certain areas, to just in general, everything that's been done with regard to the rate case. Gentlemen, I totally appreciate it, and we are very fortunate to have all of you, even though we're about to lose one of you, Mr. Phelan, but we certainly do appreciate everything that has been done, that you've done with regard to this. So with that in mind, I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor of Mr. Burney's motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. It stands voted unanimously. Okay, next order of business, discussion with regard to proposed revisions to the I&I policy. Neil, if you'd like to make some comments, any comments with regard to that, and then, gentlemen, I'll open it up to the three of us.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in front of you is proposed updates to the infiltration and inflow policy. This was originally adopted in the fall of 2015. So it is coming up on 5 years old. And we have been meeting both informally and formally within the sewer division to review the policy, of cognizant of just lessons learned. Now that we actually are out in the street, working with the ratepayers for inspections as well as the reimbursement policy, what you have in front of us, or what in front of you, is some recommendations. And the goal tonight is simply to transmit it to the Public Utilities Commission, and then at the August meeting, come back with a revised version based on any edits or comments that the commission may have. Finalize it in September 15th, take a vote then, and then have it become effective October 1, 2020, coincidentally the same date as the new water and sewer charges. So what was driving this was a couple items. Up until this current fiscal year, the sewer division was collecting $350,000 for our I&I lockbox. So it is not going into operating, but we were not spending that amount. So we currently have $2.2 million in reserve. So it was also, we looked at some of the reimbursement rates. Were they too high? Were they too low? A few got reduced, but a few also got increased. And the impetus there was we've actually had customers that came back to us specifically for complex sump pump issues and said, you know what, the maximum reimbursement is $4,000. Beyond that, it is on my funding, it is my checkbook, and I'm just not going to do it. This is a volunteer program. So we've looked at that. We wanted to add some flexibility for the general manager vis-a-vis the sewer division and the engineering section, where we do have some one-off cases to go above the maximum reimbursement rate if we compare it to our savings that we will enjoy by removing the I&I. And really the newest section is private sewers and private manholes. And currently the private sewer and the private manholes have a low reimbursement rate if you look at the cost that could be implied. And the policy, when it was originally enacted, kind of ignored private sewers and private manholes. And we've done a evaluation. We have approximately 22.95 miles of private sewers and the associated manholes throughout the collection system. For reference, our collection system is 199 miles. So we're really missing out on 9% of our collection system. We've assumed by not touching them that there's no I&I issues, which is a bit naive, because it then comes down to our wastewater treatment plant. We have to then treat that clean water. And when I say private sewers, I am talking about condominium and townhome associations that have a community sewage agreement with the sewer division, institutional facilities such as Choate or Ashler Village, small condos and townhomes that do not have a community sewage agreement, or really just commercial plazas such as Kohl's that have a long lateral that is the same size as a regular sanitary sewer. So what we are proposing to do is CCTV those with our new CCTV truck. If we do find an issue, then reach out to the private sewer owner and see if we can work together to remove the source of inflow or more likely infiltration into a cracked pipe or so. We recognize that if you're a private condo or a private townhome, just dealing with landscaping and garbage removal and snow plowing is a challenge. You're not really going to have the skills, the knowledge, or the contacts in order to enact a sewer rehabilitation project. That's what the sewer does. That's our core competency. So what we want to do is compare it to the 10-year return on the investment. We do know the cost per gallon to convey and treat wastewater. We can make a engineering judgment on the leakage, and then we can come up with a cost to the savings that would be enjoyed by the sewer division compared to the cost. And quite frankly, we have a capital program every year that does sewer lining. Whether we line a public pipe or a private pipe, the goal is still the same, and that's to remove I&I. So again, that's a lot of words. The point tonight is just to transmit it to the PUC, have you read it, and come back with any questions or comments. And then from there, we will just continue to develop the document. Again, it's a 3-month process.
Okay. Gentlemen, are there any comments that either of you would like to make at this time, or you want to reserve judgment till you've had an opportunity to go ahead, look through it, digest it, and
Mr. Chairman, just a very quick high-level comment on the intent of this program is really to save the town the public money, and that is some efforts that are outlined in this program ultimately have shown that we can save the public money by not treating clean water, water that's coming in from groundwater, from rainflow. So it appears to be an effective program, and the fine tuning of this, the refinement of this, appears to be going in the right direction. So I think it's a good program. The intent is to minimize operational costs to the treatment plant by reducing the amount of water that does not need to be treated. And I support the intent of having this move forward.
okay. Yes, Patrick.
Mr. Chairman, in addition to echoing the sage comments of Mr. Reinbold, I just wanted to note that with all the things that are on Neil's plate and his team's plate, that he recognized that this program has been in place for 5 years and it's time to trim the sails. And he has outlined a process, something we don't have to act on this tonight. We've got milestones over the next 60 days. It's going to be an opportunity for us to digest this further, to provide Neil and his team with comments, if any, to make this program better. And Neil, you've got so much on your plate, and I just want to applaud you for recognizing that this program, which again I echo with what Joel said, is a terrific program which is providing a phenomenal service, reducing the what we want to reduce in terms of usage at the plant, but making it better. So thank you very much, and look forward to providing you comments, if any, to the revisions that you've proposed in this red line.
Thank you. And again, we started this back in January, so please don't think that the proposed track changes document you have in front of you was put together last week before the PUC packet went out. This is kind of the filler in between everything else the last couple of months. But thank you.
Neil, I think you're pretty good at multitasking, if you ask me. Comment I would make, and this is with regard to sump pumps and laterals. 6 years ago, before we instituted this program, I remediated one that I had. That one cost me $4,700 to go ahead and run about 140 feet from the house into a storm sewer. So I think that raising the amount that we would look at for remediation, I think that makes some sense to go ahead and get it up higher than where it was. But of course, the program came along after I did this, but I wanted to make sure that I'd taken care of what I needed to do before we got the program, because I figured as chairman, it wouldn't look good if I was one of the first ones to take advantage of it. So, In
Oh,
any event,
interesting, Mr. Beaumont. I thought you were looking to have this modified to provide retroactivity to
Yeah.
pre-INI. I am just let the record reflect that I'm just joking about that, please.
I deserve that one. Okay. But no, seriously, Neil, Bill, both of you, again, thank you for everything you do. And we really appreciate it, particularly with what has been going on in the past year and a half to two years. Everything that you guys have done is greatly appreciated. And Tony, don't look sad. We appreciate everything that gets done in elected division too. Okay. It's just that this meeting happens
sure do.
About water
Sure
sewer.
do.
All right, we'll move on then, and gentlemen, get any comments into Neil with respect to this after you've had some opportunities, or we can just do it at our August meeting. Other than that, Neil, you're on again, item number 9. Actually, I'll back off from that. First off, I will ask if there is any public comment. I don't see any public out here at the moment. Therefore, I will close the public Q&A, and we will go to item 9, Neil, for the update on the sewer treatment plant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with all the construction activities, we have officially hit 2 pages for the update. So we will be moving forward with 2 pages for at least the next year plus. We will start with 2 administrative items first. So last Wednesday evening, the Wallingford Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission did approve 2 additional stockpile areas on the wastewater treatment site. We refer to them as the north and the south areas. So the north area is actually a gully between the rotating biological contractors and the low-level pump station. And the south area is actually a former settling lagoon south of the tertiary phosphorus building. And then the second item there was a unique telephone call and email I received from DEEP last week. They have informed the Wallingford Sewer Division that they will entertain processing a permit modification to provide the Sewer Division with relief related to the aluminum limit that is currently written into our NPDES permit. The impetus was really 2 meetings DEP had. One was with the Wallingford Sewer Division when we wrote a very eloquent letter that basically said we don't think it's fair that we have an aluminum limit based on our current discharges when we're turning the plant upside down with new processes. And the second was a meeting they had with the Bristol wastewater treatment plant, who also received a limit. And Bristol brought with them a document, an EPA document from 2018 that basically said EPA and the states are not in a position to require an aluminum limit at this time, and more testing and sampling needs to be done. So we have already started to move forward with our submission for a NPDES modification. So that is really good news for us, considering the main chemical we are using to treat phosphorus is alum. So moving on to the building and the facility construction for the anaerobic basin, the scum trough and the weir baffle have been installed. The only elements outstanding at this point are the 6 invent mixers along with the motors and electrical power. So one item outstanding, it is a big item though. The intermediate pump station, all 7 5 gates and operating stems have been installed with the exception of the electrical operators that will be installed at a later date. And the contractor is currently in the process of constructing the framework for the monorail crane. Moving over to Main Street piping, and so one of the challenges with this project is we have to keep treating the wastewater, keeps flowing downhill. And so how do we keep the current processes going and meet our current permit while doing construction? And one of the big items has been providing temporary power to the rotating biological contactors and the anoxic tank. because currently the power comes down Main Street, but we need to cut the current permanent power in order to put the new piping in. So we have completed the temporary power connections to RBC's rows 1 through 4, as well as the anoxic tank. And the permanent power to these elements can now be installed. And previously, the permanent power for RBC rows 5 through 8 had been completed. Moving on to the tertiary phosphorus building. So last month, we were about 75% complete with the reinforcing steel and the concrete. This month, we are about 90%. So the goal right now is to get the foundation and the columns done so we can bring the brick masons in later this fall and work on that in the fall and early winter. So, and then the UV disinfection post-aeration building, you took the tour. You remember that they both had the same footing foundations, but the UV actually sat a little higher, but for structural purposes, we all had to have the same base elevation. So we have filled in the interior cells, and now the floor slabs are being formed and rebar installed, and the concrete will soon be poured for the UV portion of the building. And post-aeration is essentially done at this point until we start putting in the mechanicals and the electrical. So the concrete and structural is done for the post-aeration building. And then if there wasn't enough going on, we have started to excavate for the emergency generator building, and that will be in the hill adjacent to John Street. We had a bit of a delay because there was a historical telephone line that went right across where the emergency generator building was going to go. So Dan Sullivan really took the lead and troubleshot that one. And we have rerouted those. And so construction can continue. And then the last item, no changes to the net change by change orders since the last month. So our contract sum to date is still $45.459 million. And there has been no change to the construction schedule. Contract completion date still remains February 10, 2022. So with that, I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Comment I would make, Neil, it's surprising, having been through 2 tours here in the course of the 2 weeks between the end of June and then July 9th. I was surprised at really how much additional had been done in that 2-week period. Now, and then just hearing now that much more, you know, I mean, and I realize it has to go like that if we're going to be able to meet the deadline that we have to be operational, you know, in April of 22. But it's nice to hear the progress. It really is, and appreciate it. Appreciate the report. Any other comments, gentlemen, of any sort with regard to the update?
Yeah, just Mr. Chairman, just quick congrats on the 2 wins, Neil, with both the Inland Wetlands Commission and the aluminum limit modification out of deep. 2 milestones that I think were nicely managed.
Here, here. All right. Is there anything else to be brought before us, Rick, or do you have any, is there any correspondence or any committee reports of any sort?
Mr. Chairman, this is Patrick Burney. I don't know if that was directed at me or not, but I did have a question for Mr. Hendershot.
Please.
Mr. Hendershot, on the July 15th memo regarding WED cash reserve above minimum,
Yeah.
what is your what's our next steps here? You know, if I could liken it to Mr. Amwake's sort of milestones on the I&I, what are the milestones here for what was raised in the July 15th memo?
fair question, and I was starting to make a comment along those lines, that I didn't spell out any dates in there or note which meeting I would like to discuss this at. It's not a time critical issue in that regard. So I wanted to get that memorandum and the information it included in front of the commission to allow the concepts and the information to percolate and allow the commission to contact myself or Mr. Bucari or Mr. Sullivan with any questions. And then when it seemed appropriate, we could come back to the PUC. I would think maybe as early as the next meeting. I'm thinking maybe the one after that.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else to be brought before this body? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. By
All
Joel.
those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Folks, have a good evening, one and all. And Tony,
Thank you very much.
Get you involved
Bye, gentlemen.
at the next meeting.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Tony, definitely issues outside of your control.
Yeah.